The Indian government has been pushing growth with sustainability. At the Mahindra Group, sustainability is a big focus area for the future for the next 5 to 10 years. Joining us right now is the CEO of Mahindra Life Spaces to speak about the company's net zero initiative and also the demand and supply picture in the real estate sector in the country. Amit, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, before we get into the net zero initiative that you are launching, what does net zero for a building actually mean?
Parikshit, I'm glad you asked that question because there's a lot of confusion about what net zero is. And typically, most people say if the building and the environment looks green, it's a net zero building complex or a project. But let me just define it. It's the three elements of net zero energy, net zero waste, and net zero water. So let me just talk about net zero energy, which is the most important one from an emission perspective. Let's say a building uses 100 electrons, right? If you design the building really well, you can reduce the consumption because you'll design the building which will take into account the solar movement, the path, cross ventilation. You'll make sure that the wind conditions are taken into account. The trees and surrounding areas reduce the energy requirement, air conditioning requirement. The window to wall ratio will ensure more light comes in, less heat comes in, right? Those are design features. You can bring down the 100 electrons to 67, 1/3 reduction. Then you're still left with 67, right? Now, if you're able to find a way to put local solar panels or windmills, etc., you can get 5 and 10% further reduction. But then you're still left with 55, 60. And if you're able to find a renewable source of energy from the grid, you can make your building net zero. So it reduces through design, it reduces through the on-site consumption or generation, which is consumed locally, and then you're able to source renewable energy from the grid, and which was not possible, which we have been able to do it in our recent projects, especially Mahindra Eden, which is in Bangalore, and Mahindra Vista, which is in Mumbai, where we worked with the local Discom to say that, hey, give us that 55, 60 electrons coming only from renewable and we'll pay you more. So a green electron will cost you more because it is only generated in 10 hours and you have to supply 24 hours. So we have contracted with them. It was only possible for industrial customers. Now we have created this option for residential buildings. So now we are able to say that this building is a net zero building because we designed it right, we got local generation, and then we are sourcing renewable electricity. All of that together is a net zero building.
Right. Now to your net zero building initiative, what do you aim to achieve from this?
So this is very interesting because when we talk about Mahindra Group, so I'm not talking about building, we have a very simple, very focused planet positive strategy, right? How do we make sure that we are greening ourselves, we are making ourselves green, we are making the industry green, and we are rejuvenating the nature. These are three tenets that we have. Now, as you think about net zero building, it allows us to solve multiple things, right? We are able to make sure that the building consumes electricity or energy, which is by definition green. So you're able to bring down the emissions significantly. Number two, because the buildings have a life cycle of 20, 30, 50 years, the consumption comes down significantly. So it has an impact on all the ecosystem parameters for the industry. And then finally, if you put trees, you can breathe easy, you get fresh air, etc. It just makes the life much more lively, right? So by doing net zero building, we are able to solve multiple problems and provide a home which is closer to dream home, but also a healthy home for individuals, as well as for the company, as well as for the planet. And that's what we're trying to achieve. Our efforts are making strong progress. We just had a launch, as I mentioned, in Mumbai called Mahindra Vista. In 3 days, we sold around 800 crore worth of inventory. And that was the first net zero energy and waste project in Mumbai. So we had a great response to that.
I'd like to ask you about the growth that you're seeing currently. How do you expect to close FY24? And what is the kind of growth that you're targeting in the next 5 to 10 years?
So last financial year, we were residential side. We have two businesses, residential and industrial. We had roughly 1,800 crores on the pre-sales residential and roughly 500 crores on the industrial side. I think we'll have a healthy growth on the residential side. We've had very successful launches, and our pipeline is very strong for the following year. We have not given a guidance on F24, but we have given a guidance of F25 externally, which is 2,500 crore on the residential side. Industrial business is going to be a business where we continue to extract cash and fund our residential business. We have huge land banks across the country in the industrial business, and it will be flattish 400 to 500 crores every year for the next 3, 4, 5 years. We are hoping on the residential side that we meet and beat our aspiration that we have set out already.
Right. You said that you want to grow 5x in the next 5 years. Give us the project pipeline that you would like to achieve by then.
Yeah, so we have decided to be very focused in our strategy. I came on board 9 months back, and we wanted to make sure our vision is clear, our strategy is clear in terms of what we will do, but more importantly, what we will not do. This is a business which has local scale. The national scale doesn't really matter. So we decided to go deep into 3 markets, which is Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. We also have presence in NCR, which we'll continue to have, and we'll see if we need to go back and add the 4th market. In these markets, I think we are thinking about, to achieve our 8 to 10,000 crore, which is 5x in 5 years, we need 45,000 crore worth of projects, which is a very tall order. However, we have a healthy portfolio already in terms of the GDV pipeline that we call it. 5,000 that we are already tracking, and our Thane land parcel in Mumbai is roughly 8 to 10,000 crores. So 1/3 of that 45,000 crore is already with us. We will add another 1/3 of that through what's very common in Mumbai and western part of India, is joint development agreement. So you don't buy the land, but you partnership with the landowner. Or you do a society redevelopment. Society says, hey, you build me a new society, I'll give the land to you, give me some extra space for the ownership that I have in the current society, but you can build more apartments for sale and you make more money. And that should pay for my construction costs. When you do those things, you don't have to buy land. So the 45,000 crore, if I have to create the sales, I can do 1/3 of my 45,000 crore through these alternate business models. And the remaining 1/3 I have to build over the next few years, which will happen. We're seeing huge momentum in the market, but I think through these models we'll be able to achieve that.
Okay, now speaking to you about the demand picture, looking at different segments in the real estate sector, where is the highest demand coming from? Which is the kind of buyer who is out in the market in the biggest way or buying the most?
You know, it's a very interesting question. And you have to, I must remind ourselves that we are at the peak of the interest rate cycle, right? And whenever the interest rates are high, it should slow down the housing market, but it hasn't happened as we just discussed. What we are finding, there are 4 segments of the market, and there are different ways to cut it. The lowest is the affordable segment, mid-premium, which is a critical part, which is like the big segment for the $2,500 segment. Then is the premium segment where people want to go to that. They want nice infrastructure, clubhouse, facilities, good space, balcony. And then there's a luxury segment, right? And we see in the last 2 years, a K-shaped recovery. The top 2 segments are doing better than the bottom 2 segments, right? And probably they have more disposable income, they desire...
So you talk about luxury and premium.
Luxury and premium have just gone through the roof, right? And even though the interest rate cycle has slowed down the affordable and a little bit on the mid-premium, relatively, they're still growing. But the top 2 segments have continued to grow. And I was looking at some data in Mumbai and Delhi. The number of registration for homes which are more than 4 crore are up 75%. So that's like premium and, let's say, luxury homes, right? So my sense is, over a period of time, we at Mahindra need to find the right target segment to pursue. We have generally followed a practice of doing affordable and mid-premium. Now, in our strategy, we're saying that, hey, if this is the way the market growth is going to be, and affordable is where the land prices are going up, commodity prices are going up, labor costs are going up, our ability to extract commercial benefits comes down significantly. So why not we change ourselves to play in the mid-premium and premium segment, right? Which are in a way strong, large segments. And that's what the change we've already brought in some of our new project launches.